Hello, I am Sarah Tilsley. I am a spiritual coach, tarot reader, healer, and I am here to help you with some tips for reading tarot. So with tarot and like oracle cards and stuff like that, you want to be grounding first. You want to be feeling grounded and protected. You want to settle into the energy and set that intention for the reading of what you're doing. So you can cleanse the area. So if you're in tune to Reiki, you can use Reiki to cleanse the area. You could use sage, Palo Santo, just your intention. Have your crystals there if you want to. Even light a candle if you want to, because candles are said to help connect to spirit a bit more. I don't use candles. I can't use candles. They make me ill. But so that it's not important. It's just what you want to do. I've got my Radiant Rider-Waite-Smith deck. Whichever order them words go round, that's the deck I have here. This is the deck that I first connected to properly. It's not the first ever deck I had, but it's the first deck I ever connected to properly. And I like it because of the symbols. They're all standard symbols, the standard images. They're easy to look at and easy to read. And a lot of the meanings of all the tarot decks tend to come off this deck. Or versions of this deck. So the main ones I actually use is the Crystal Visions Tarot. But the one I recommend is using the Rider-Waite-Smith. But you don't have to. You can use any tarot deck you want to learn from. Any of them. It's up to you. It depends on what deck you want. You have to be connected to the deck. You have to be drawn to that deck. And that's as simple as that. So when you're reading tarot and you've got your stuff sorted, maybe you've got your first deck and you don't know what to do with it, and you might have your deck there newly out of the box. It'll be in an order. And what I normally do is hold the deck and I'll pull them. I'll hold them in my right hand because the left hand is the receiving hand. And I'll look at them and I'll go through each deck, each card. They're normally the right way up, but these aren't. And I'll go through each deck and I'll look and I'll hold them one by one, look at the card and put them down, and I'll skip through them like that. So you're familiarising yourself with the deck. You don't have to do that every time you pick up your deck, just the first time. As well as if you're picking up a deck for the first time or for the first time in a while, you might want to reconnect your energy with the deck. Usually when I first get a deck, I will hold it against my heart and I will say something along the lines of, I connect my energy with the energy of the deck. And the spirit, the divine, please help to connect my energy with the deck and help me provide accurate readings for the good of all. And that's sort of something similar that you want to do and connect with the deck. Some people take to wrap it up and put it onto your pillow and keep it with you for like 24, 48 hours. You can do that or not. It's a good practice to keep doing that, and you might want to give it a good shuffle. Any way you shuffle is the best. It doesn't have to be amazing. I'm going to show you a little bit. So when I first started, I couldn't shuffle like that. There's no way could I shuffle like that. You know, that's not I mean, I can now, and I don't particularly care whether I get reversals or not. So I'll just do it quite quick like that, and whatever reversed is reversed. You do not have to use reversed cards. You don't. You can get an accurate reading without using reversed cards. And reversed cards are a whole new thing altogether, which I don't have any training on. I do have training on tarot and the whole shebang, basically, apart from reversals, on my website. And it's actually for a super low price right now at £7. Because I did it live in my membership group last year, and I did it over the course of the year. So it was all done live, but it was all, none of it is edited, none of it is changed, none of it looks perfect and prim and proper and everything else. But it's in order, it's in the course, and it's all perfectly legible for you to go in to use to take notes and whatever. Just a sideline right there. So when you're reading, so you can either shuffle like that, shuffle like that, shuffle by spreading them out on the table, and choosing cards. Usually you choose them however feels right to you. I tend to choose cards. I'll shuffle this way, so I'll shuffle the first way I showed you, and then I'll shuffle this way, and I'll use the jumping cards. And jumping cards are Spirit's way of saying this is the card that you're looking for, and it'll jump out and fly around. It's flown around the room, it's flown under the table. They can fly everywhere, to be fair. And then I'll pick them up, and depending on how many there is and the feelings I get when I pick them up, sometimes I'll pick them up and I'll be like, yeah, that's the right card, and other times it'll be like my whole body saying no, and I'll put them back in the deck and I'll carry on shuffling. And if they come out again, then they're meant to be. And shuffle with the intention of first connecting to the spirit and the divine. So you can use any saying that you want as you're picking the cards up. So when you've got the cards and you're first picking them up, for any reading, you want to knock 3 times to get the energy out, and you want to be able to say some kind of saying to help you to connect with the energy, to spirit and everything else. So normally I'll say, thank you, spirit, angels, spirit guides, all ascended masters and guardians of the light. Can you please help me connect to a reading for the academy, the collective, such and such a person, depending on who I'm reading for. And then I'll close my eyes and I'll focus my energy on connecting my energy with whoever I'm reading for, whoever I'm, like, whether it's the collective, whether it's myself, whether it's a personal tarot reading that I'm doing, whether it's for a client, whoever it's for, I'll connect with their energy, and I'll know I've connected with their energy because I'll feel a tingling all over my body. I'll feel the energy shift, and sometimes I'll feel their feelings. I'll feel how they're feeling, what's going through their mind at them, not their mind. I'm not reading minds. What's their feeling? What if they've got any illnesses at the time? I can feel their illnesses. That kind of stuff. You don't have to, just because I connect. That's how I connect. And just because that's the feelings I get when I'm connecting to somebody doesn't mean that you're going to feel the same. Doesn't. Everyone's different. But that's the way I know I'm connected. The whole body tingling and the energy. And I've felt physically sick doing some people's readings after connecting with their energy because of who I'm reading for and what's going on with them at that moment. And that's without knowing anything about them, only their question, So you want to do that, you want to shuffle, you want to ask the question, shuffle and get the cards any way you want, whether it's jumping cards, whether you spread your hand around, whether you can't see them, can you? Whether you spread your hand, if they were spread out, and you spread your hand across and choose which one's meant for you, or whether you've shuffled and split them into 3 and then chosen which one goes what, and then you're just pulling the cards from the top. Whatever way you want to connect and pull cards is really okay for you. And it can change depending on what the readings do. Mainly I use jumping cards. But sometimes if that doesn't feel right in that particular moment, I won't do that, you know? It's all up to you and what feels right to you and what feels right in that particular moment for whoever you're reading for. Right. So there is Major Arcana, and then there's 4 smaller ones. The Ace of Swords, the Swords cards, the Wands cards, the Cups cards, and the Pentacles cards. Each of them are linked to certain astrology. Certain ones of these are linked to certain signs. Certain one, like each sword is linked to a certain element in astrology. And all of that. You don't have to know all of that to be able to read the cards. You just need to know a few keywords of the cards and feel into the energy of the card yourself. Obviously, when I was learning and training myself to read intuitively, I wrote some of the keywords down on this card, which on the cards. I don't recommend writing on your deck, but I did on this one so I could memorize them easily and keep them going as I was learning. That was a long time ago. So it's not. This is one of the reasons I don't use the cards for a particular reading, because I don't like the fact I've drawn all over them. But I use them for training purposes and that kind of stuff, because that's what I use them for now. And that's okay. Now, you've got the Major Arcana, which is the major turning points in your life, the major changes that are going on in your life at that time. And to go in order, we've got the Fool, the Magician, the High Priestess, the Empress, the Emperor, the Hierophant, the Lovers, the Chariot, Strength, Hermit, the Wheel of Fortune. And then you go on to Justice, the Hanged Man, Death, Temperance, the Devil, the Tower, the Star, the Moon, the Sun, Judgment, and the World. Each of them is different energy. Some of them have astrological signs connected to them. Some of them don't. And then you've got the Swords cards, which are air signs. So Gemini, Libra, and Aquarius are linked to air signs. The Wands cards are linked to fire signs, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. The Cups cards are linked to water signs, Cancer, Scorpio, and Pisces. And the Pentacles cards are linked to earth signs, Taurus, Capricorn, and Virgo. And they've all got like 1 to 10, and then they've got the Page, King, Queen. Page, King, Queen, and the one is usually the Ace. It can change depending on the deck. Some of them use the number 1, some of them use Ace. It means it's the same card. So with them, you can connect with the card's astrological sign if it's got one. You can also connect with the element that it's connected to and think about what that element means with regards to the cards and what that is. So air signs are communicative, intelligent, clever, fun-loving, adventurous, for instance. And you could do that. You could also use the keywords of the cards and can think about what they are first before as you're connecting. The swords, for instance, the swords are about intellect, mindset, anything to do with the mind. The Wands cards are to do with creativity, and they could be known as quite a phallic symbol as well, as talking about passion, creativity, confidence, action orientated, that kind of stuff. And you'll be able to see the links between what element they're connected to and what the cards are too. The cups cards, for instance, are the water cards. These are the emotions cards. These are the cards that you connect with your emotions to. Not just your emotions, but your intuition and that kind of stuff. That's what those are what they're linked to. And pentacles are the material things, the down to earth things, the money, the finances, the career, the business, that kind of stuff. But you could link any of them to anything depending on what feels good to you and what comes up for you. So when you pull in a card and you've shuffled your cards, you can look at each one individually and then how they connect to each other as well. What cards are next to it, what cards are surrounding it that you've pulled out, and connect to them in that way and connect them to each other. So if you're pulling a card, you might want to pull look at the symbols, for instance. You might want to look at what's happening. Anything that you might be instantly drawn to when you look at the cards, you want to pay more attention to and look at. If you've got any major arcana, that's something that you want to pay particular attention to as well. And look at any symbols that might be there. For instance, this was about balance, because we've got the balance symbol there. So it could be balancing of money, because it's the Pentacles cards. So balancing of the finances, giving and taking, that kind of stuff. It could be and it might be as well that you see the client or whoever you're reading for, whether it's you or somebody else, as that person, or you might feel like they're more connected to either side of them. Listen to those things and listen to those feelings. Which brings me to the intuitive side of tarot reading. So when you've got the cards, you know the sort of keywords and the little things. You've maybe skimmed through the book or you've read it inside and out and you just can't get the hang of it. Or even if you can and you just want that bit more intuition, you might want to look at how you are feeling when you're connected to the card. So when you look at the card, what internal feelings do you get? What physical feelings do you get? What do you feel like doing? When you're doing that? Do you feel, for instance, I did a tarot reading once where I felt sluggish. I felt like I was treading through mud, like it was difficult to move forward. It's also about what you hear, whether that's in your head or a different voice altogether. Say what comes to you, voice-wise as well. Usually mine are in my own head, but I know they're not me. And whatever comes to me, I'll say. Images as well, which you might have to interpret some images. You might want to just say what it is at first and see what connects and what comes up. So look at your thoughts, your feelings, your images, anything physical, any words, any pictures, anything that you're feeling, using all your senses to really connect into the reading, really connect into the card, and really connect into the reading in general and to their energy. And say what you say. Say whatever you need to. It's really important that you just speak what needs to be spoken when it's coming through. Particularly in my early days, I used to see something, hear something or whatever and not say it. And then the client says, this could be this, I think this card may be linked to this particular thing. And they'll tell me that after it's happened. And in my head, I'll be like, why the fuck didn't I say that earlier? Because that's what I was thinking during the reading and I didn't say it and now they've said it. And it's like, But certain things like that, you know, that if you've not said something and then you realise that perhaps later that makes more sense, or the client said something, then it's a sort of a note for later. So, okay, this is what come up when I read this card. Next time I'm just going to say it and see what happens. And the best way to read tarot is to read it intuitively, to read what's on the card. Yes, there's certain sayings and stuff. For instance, this book, and they come with books, they come with like different meanings for different cards. And yes, the books, you can sit and read the book when you first get a deck, but it's not something that you really want to be going back to every single reading. And if you're pulling cards for other people, I mean, I'm just going to say this because I know that it's not popular opinion, but it really makes me cringe when I see people posting a picture of the inside of the book. This is a tarot card. This is what the inside of the book said. Here's the picture of the written information. And it really makes me cringe. I don't want to read the book and see what the information is when I'm seeing if someone's pulled a card online. I want to know what you think of the card. I want to know what your intuition tells you about the card. I want to know how you feel when you read the card, what you think it's about. Not what Radley Valentine thought when he wrote the deck. You know what I mean? Because your feeling of connecting to the card are going to be maybe slightly different and maybe more accurate even at times than what the book is saying. Books have their place, I understand. But if you're reading for other people and you're reading intuitively, unless you specifically hear like a nudge or a word or an image to read the book for that particular card, then it's better to read your intuition and to trust, because I promise you, you know everything that you need to know about reading the card as you need to read it. You know everything. You're connected to spirit. You're connected to whoever you're reading for at the time. You've done all that in the process. You are fully connected and you are fully capable of connected to your intuition as you're reading the card and saying what needs to be said and saying what comes. And yes, it's trial and error. Yes, sometimes we don't say things that we need to. Yes, sometimes we might even say things that have no meaning whatsoever in that time. They may mean something later, they may not, but that's okay. It's all a process of trial and error. And if you say all the things that are coming to you as you're saying it, you can't go far wrong. And yes, each card has a certain meaning for certain things. But it's nothing that you can't see off the images. It's nothing that you can't see of what's going on. For instance, now I've picked up this one. You pick up the Four of Cups. You see the four where he's focusing on the 3 cups on the floor. He's not focusing on that one that the cloud's giving him to him in his hand. He's sitting under the tree. It looks like he's focused intently on that. He doesn't look so happy. In fact, he's just so focused on the things that are in front of him, the things that are going wrong, the things that aren't feeling good to him. He's focused all his emotions and stuff, because it's a card about emotions, on those things. There is not seeing what the universe is trying to give him. The universe and source spirit or God or whoever you want, whatever name you want to put towards it, is handing him a gift. Look at that. This is what you need to focus on right now. This is what you need to look at right now. But he's not paying attention. He's looking at the cups. He's looking at what's not happening right, what's not going wrong. He's looking at all the wrong things. When in reality, if he paid attention to everything else and forget about what's not working for him right now, he might see something right in front of his face that's there, handing him there what he needs on a plate, like, here, take this. This is your focus right now. See? So you might look at that. You might also see the fact that the water in the background is choppy, which means that he's in emotional turmoil. Choppier waters are more emotional turmoil. Calmer waters are more calm, relaxed, serene, that kind of stuff. And if you were, for instance, picking that up and that came out next to it, you might say that his emotions could be linked to finances. He might be feeling lack of finances. He might be feeling more like like him on the floor, like he's looking and feeling like that there's not much he can do with regards to his finances, with regards to what's going on. That he's not quite seeing what's going on with regards to what could happen with his finances, the goods that has going on. Maybe he needs to feel more gratitude with regards to his finances and what he's got. And maybe he needs to pay attention to balancing those finances out, to seeing what he's giving away and what he's spending and what he's not spending, and trying to balance it out that way. So you see the how you can connect different cards together to create a reading. And that includes reading from other decks, reading from other tarot decks, reading for other oracle decks, and making an entire reading through all sorts of different decks to create something that's profound and that's a nice reading, or the right reading at the right time for the right person. And sometimes you might find that the same card comes out in two different decks, which also means that that's an extra attention that needs to be put on that particular area. That's extra focus that might be going on right now, depending on the question that you asked for the reading. So that is your tips for reading tarot, with absolutely no notes whatsoever, apart from the elements and what signs they are, because sometimes off the top of my head they don't quite come to me instantly. But I don't always do that. That doesn't normally sit with me, you know. It's not something that I sit with and doing readings. So yeah, that is your masterclass. That is a free masterclass. I don't know if anyone is currently live, but I've taken up 30 minutes of your time, and I think that's probably enough. So thank you for watching. Please let me know you're watching on replay, and thank you.